Welcome to the Empower Her Wellness Podcast. I'm Morgan, and I'm thrilled to be your host and wellness coach as we navigate the path to a healthier, more confident you. As the owner of Get Fit With Me, I bring years of experience in personal training, nutrition, and coaching to each episode. Join me as we explore practical tips and strategies for fitness, nutrition, mindset, and more, all tailored for busy women just like you. Let's empower your wellness journey and achieve lasting transformation together. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to an episode of the Empower Her Wellness Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Morgan Ekovich. Today, I'm joined here with Melanie McNamara, who honestly, I've met her a couple years ago. We have been on and off seeing each other just through networking groups. And this summer, she took our summer strength training boot camp, and we got to connect even more. And I got to learn a little bit more about her life coaching business and just all the things she has her hands in. And the thing that stood out to me about her is how often she talks about how we should not run our lives by the shoulds, the things we should be doing. And that resonates so hard with me that I thought we need to have her on to talk to you guys about resilience, about the shoulds in life, and all of those things. Welcome, Melanie. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me. I can't wait to have our conversation today.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into life coaching? When did this all start? And was there something in life that kind of triggered this new section of life for you?
Yeah, there was actually a couple things, and it's not what most people think, but I was diagnosed with stage three, grade three triple negative breast cancer. And if you Google it, it's not a fun thing to Google. But that was back in 2016. And I found life coaching in about 2017, 2018. So it was after my cancer journey. And I was Googling things like, how can I, like, what is happening in my life? Why can't I be happy? Like all of these like long sentences of like, I don't know why I can't handle my life. And I found this life coaching podcast, and it was so different. I didn't know there was life coaching. I had definitely heard of coaching through real estate, and I've been a real estate broker and everything. Very different kind of coaching. And I discovered life coaching and how our brains work and how emotions work and all of the things. So it intrigued me, and I completely started systematically changing all the different areas of my life, how I thought about things, how I approached my life. And so I stepped out and started coaching in about 2019, 2020. Did a lot of free coaching. And then in 2021, I opened my Melanie McNamara coaching business, and I have not looked back. It's my favorite thing to do.
That is awesome. And so when you found this podcast, did you know immediately that you wanted to step in and help women with that right away? Or was it you had to figure out all these things for yourself first? And then you got those, not acknowledgments, but those answers. And you're like, wow, this actually works.
Yeah, I think it happened pretty quickly. Once I started binging every episode starting at the beginning of this podcast, I was like, this makes so much sense. It's the missing piece. It really was the missing piece to what I wasn't quite getting in my life as to how I couldn't change my circumstances. I felt my circumstances controlled me, and was how I lived my life in kind of that victimy sort of area where it's I can't do this because of my circumstance or whatever. And starting to take back that power of being able to be the person who affects change in my life because of how I'm thinking about it. It just changed everything. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, people need to know this, because I think that's when I started thinking about I could totally help other people with this, because I had like business coaching through real estate, and it just didn't address like, why can't we change our thinking? Like, how do you do that? Is that even a thing? It talked about changing mindset and things like that, but how and why is it so hard? And over the years, I've really dove deep into feminist theory and family systems, intersectionality, how all the different areas of our life converge together to create who we are and how we think and what we believe. And just everything just clicks and it starts making sense.
So, we're going to talk about resilience, but you said something first that I want to talk about, and it was taking the power back in your life.
Yeah.
And the victim mindset and some of these things were like, we're just in a cycle. Like when people are in a cycle with diet, they can be in the same cycle with their
Mhm.
mindset. How can we start to take the power back? Is it as easy? Is it easier than it sounds? Because it sounds like it's probably harder than what it is, but maybe it's not.
It can be very simple. And what's that expression? It's simple, not easy, right? And just depends on where you're at. And sometimes it's one shift in the way you're thinking about something that just breaks open everything. So it could be that one just tiny little shift in the way you're thinking about your dieting or your exercise. And I love that. That's another reason I want to talk to you about, because so much of my life I spent hating my body and like punishing myself, trying to lose weight, trying to diet, all the things. I grew up in the 80s. There's all these diets and things, and I know it's still there, of course, but just my whole life I grew up thinking I had to change myself in order to be worthy, in order to be the ideal of what society accepts as what how you should look and how you should act. And I kind of you'll notice I kind of lost track of the original question. I get really passionate and then I forgot exactly what you said.
That's totally okay. So I like where you went with what you were saying about always feeling like you needed to change. Because I know so many women listening right now can relate to that. Always feeling like their body needs to look different, that they can't be happy where they are. They always need to be doing something. So, how did you start to take your power back and learn that you didn't have to change yourself? How did you start to change that for yourself?
I stepped into sometimes we can't get to self-love. Like you want to get to a point where you're so comfortable in your own skin that if you choose to lose weight, it's so much easier. If you choose to do a workout routine, you're not punishing yourself and punishing your body. Oh, you got to change and be different. So I teach a method called a thought ladder where we can start if our thoughts are down here and they're like, my body is gross and disgusting, and we want our like ultimate goal thought to be, I love my body or my body is beautiful, you can't just jump there. Right. I'm going to shift my thought and my body's beautiful. Your brain is going to constantly be arguing with you, like positive affirmations, right? They don't necessarily work unless they're a little bit believable. So the way you get to that even just acceptance of who you are, it could be like, I have a human body. And what these thoughts do is then they change your energy, they change your feelings about it. So going from my body is disgusting, I hate it, punishment, shame. So if that's how you decide you're going to lose weight, you're going to work out and change your whole diet from that place of shame or embarrassment or disgust, it's never going to stick. You're just punishing yourself along the way. Laddering your thoughts to something different works. It's practice. It's called neuroplasticity, if anyone's ever heard of that. Like we can change the way our thought patterns are. So the method is simple, but in practice, you have to practice changing the way you're thinking about yourself because it's never gonna stick if you come from a place of like a not great energy around your body.
And that practice, I'm assuming, is looks a little different depending on the person,
Mhm.
depending on their life, but it's something that's happening on a regular basis, whether that's multiple times through the day, once a day. Like I said, each person's probably a little different, but it
Mhm.
needs to be happening on a regular basis for you to be successful. Would that be right?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about like your brain's thought patterns, right? Oh, my go-to thought is I hate my body. Think of it as like a map with roads, right? You've got like your super highways of thoughts where, yeah, that's your go-to thought. I hate my body is the go-to thought. It's like a super highway. You got to start building like those little trails like up in the UP. You get back to the camps. It starts off that way. You're like, oh man, this is a tough thought. I got to keep practicing and keep building and building that thought pattern of getting to, I love my body. You want that to be the go to thought, that to be your super highway, or whatever your version of it is. Like I said, it doesn't have to be this ultimate goal thought, it could be for something very neutral. My body is strong. My body gets me places, whatever. And it doesn't mean you'll never slip back into that, but you have to
Mhm.
notice it. So it is a practice. And I like to start like if wherever the person's at, if every time they look in the mirror, that's their go-to thought, that's where you want to start is like, what is one tiny 1% better feeling thought that you can think and start practicing that every time you look in the mirror or when you wake up or whatever.
I love that. And I think body image, I feel like we went through a stage where like body positivity was really big. And now I feel like the cycle of all, we're trending down again. And I
Hmm.
know all of that goes through trends just like fashion. If you hang on to your jean jacket long enough, it will come back into style. Like we all
Got
know
one of those.
that. I've got like four. I still wear it. I also still own my skinny jeans. Those are never going away. And the low ankle socks. But those are things that they all have trends. So I think we may get to
Hmm.
a point where we feel really good and like you said, we've created that new highway, but then the trends come back and then our body slips back or our brain slips back into those
Hmm.
other feelings. It life is not easy, especially when we start to take on our brain.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yes, because from the moment we're born, or even in the womb, we're getting messages from the outside world. And as I say, I'm a feminist life coach. So I'm looking at how women are conditioned and socialized through their lives. There's like a saying like men are taught that they are of the world and women are taught to be of service to the world, right? So you think about all the messages from the moment we're born that we've received, whether it's from society or our families or whatever, our partners, that's what shaped our current reality of who we believe ourselves to be. And one of the things that came up when you were just saying that about the trends and it makes me think of if we're busy as women, constantly thinking about our diet, our bodies, how we can change them, how we need to be better physically. We're spending the diet industry billions and billions of dollars there. And you know what else it's doing? It's keeping our brains so focused on that where we're not creating, we're not becoming who we're meant to be and who deep down we're like, we are all magical. All of us. I always say, what would you be doing if you weren't constantly thinking about your diet, your body, all the things?
Mhm.
You'd be creating, you'd be like loving, finding joy in your life and in food. I love the way you talk about food. Like it can be joyful. We don't have to punish ourselves and restrict ourselves. That's when we go back to, oh, I'm going to go on this diet and we're so strict. And then we're like, oh, I just need a relief. That's where the weekend binging comes in or the late night and that because we've just like pressured ourselves so hard, we need a release. So that's my long-winded answer on that.
I that is 100% spot on because there's just so much that whether we know it or not shapes us and
Hmm.
how we even speak to others when there are kids around. I've been a nanny for a long time. So
Hmm.
just being aware of the words that come out of your mouth, not "Well, that's a bad food or that's an unhealthy food. We are shaping whether they're a child or an adult, the way that we speak about things
Hmm.
around us, it affects us and
Yeah.
it affects you and it affects those around you.
Yeah.
So, how can somebody start to identify some of these things that are happening and start to let go of them? Because I can keep identifying them, but
Yeah.
I feel like then you just put more light on it and then you get more consumed with it. So,
Yeah.
how can they start to identify and then let go or acknowledge and move on? Does that make sense?
It does. And if we want to do it in terms of like diet and exercise, it can go back to just starting with questioning your thoughts. Like, why am I thinking this? Where did this belief come from? And even before that, let me back up even further. One of the tools that I learned first thing early on when I found life coaching is a way to categorize circumstances, truths, facts from the opinions, the stories, and the beliefs that we have. And as humans walking through the world in life, most of the time, we've just created a story, and which we
Hmm.
think is the fact. but it's not the fact. So I'll answer that question in the form of a story. So you look at the scale and you step on the scale and you look down at the number. The number on the scale is the fact. It's just a number on the scale. Our thought, our opinion, the story we create around it is the story. That's where our beliefs are. And so if you look at that number and you think, I've gained weight, that is even a story, right? Because that probably creates our thoughts, create our feelings. So that creates a feeling in you of maybe dejection, whatever that might be. I'm trying to think like I just want to give up, right? Like I've gained weight. Then that feeds into your story. I'm never going to be able to do this. I can't do this. I need to do this. I should do this, right? So the first thing you want to notice is what are the facts here? This is the number on the scale, which changes like 15 times a day. Like step on the scale all day.
Yes, it's the worst thing you could do for
Hmm.
yourself. Step on the scale throughout the day.
Yeah.
You eat food, we drink water. We are
Yeah.
also females, and we have so many other fun factors that like to
Yes.
come into play.
Yes. One of my favorite weight loss coaches, she says, don't rely on the scale to tell you how the F you're going to feel that day. And
Yeah.
that's what we do. We step on it and we're like, oh, I've gained a pound. I guess I'm never going to be able to do this. I'm just going to go have some ice cream or whatever. Because the second part of that is we use that food in order to cover up feeling those
Mhm.
terrible feelings that we've created for ourselves by the way we're thinking about the number on the scale. So the first thing you want to do is notice what's the story I've created around my weight or this particular food, right? Like you said, there's fads in food. Like fat free was all the rage when I was younger, right? Like it was like everything was fat free and it wasn't even real food.
The spray butter. I
Oh,
don't.
so much. But we're like, oh, it's fat free. That means I can lose weight and be super skinny like Twiggy. So first you got to notice like what is the story around this my weight, this food, whatever, the size of my jeans, and notice how it makes you feel. And if it makes you feel terrible, it's time to start like adjusting that story. What else could this mean? What do I want to believe? What feels more powerful, empowering? What's a more empowering thought to have? Because when you know that your thoughts create your feelings, when you, not just when you know it, but when you believe it deeply in your bones, when you're like, oh, I get it now. And it's okay to feel this way, but I'm going to notice that I'm creating the way I'm feeling about this right now. And I want to change it. So the desire to change has to be there. Change your thoughts, not change your body, because the body will follow if you want it to.
It will. And when we stop stressing and beating it down, like you said earlier, y
Yeah.
your stress levels lower and
Yeah.
you actually see results faster
Yeah.
because you get good rest. You aren't feeling like you're hungry all the time because your cortisol levels are high because you haven't slept. Like your
Hmm.
body responds and you'll notice that your body responds. It's not an
Hmm.
overnight because nothing is an overnight, but your body will respond and it will tell you.
Yeah.
So let's kind of shift a little bit. It's still on topic, but let's
Hmm.
talk about resilience a little bit. What does resilience really mean to you beyond just bouncing back and, yeah, I can keep pushing through? Yup, you threw that at me. I can keep going. What does it really mean?
Yeah. I think resilience, so we think of you like the way you were even just doing that, it's like a hard energy, right? It's like a white knuckle, hard, defensive, like push through kind of energy. And I do think in like masculine and feminine energies, one is not better than the other. But for me, a softer energy feels like I'm more at home in my own body, in my own life. So when I think of resilience, I think of not stepping in to solve the problems, but shifting the focus back to myself and who do I want to be through this challenge, right? So like with my diagnosis of cancer, I always talk about how it actually felt like a relief from my regular life because I was so deep into burnout. I was diagnosed and I was just like, oh, thank God, I don't have to focus on this part of my life anymore. I've been trying so hard. Like I said, a victim mentality, right? So much victim. Then I'm diagnosed with cancer and I'm like, I got this. And I think it was, I've reflected on it for over the years and there's so much involved with it. But one of them was like relinquishing any control I had over the outcome. So before it was like my marriage and my career and clients and like where I lived in the car I drove and all the things created the way I was feeling about everything, I thought. And then because I wanted to control, I wanted them to change. I wanted everything to be different. And then I get diagnosed with cancer and I'm like, I can't control this diagnosis whatsoever. What I can control is who I want to be through it. How do I want to live my life through these treatments and everything? And so I think of resilience as that softer energy and refocusing from how can I make this different to who do I want to be? What's that identity that I want to embody and adopt in order to get through this with whatever I want? Grace, humor. Humor is one of my top three values is humor. I think that me changing the way I approached every day of my life changed the outcome of my cancer itself, which wasn't even the goal really for me. Like I didn't think about that. But in the end, I'm like, yeah, approaching my life with this openness and softness with, yeah, here's just a challenge. Here's just something I'm going to live through. And so can I share one story
Yes,
how this
please keep
just
going.
brought it all home for me is during treatments, during chemo, like I was laying in bed, my bedroom was upstairs and there were these big windows. We had these big windows in the bedroom. And I was laying there and I was so sick. I couldn't open my eyes to watch TV. I couldn't read. I was just so laying in my bed sick. I had to crawl to the bathroom. And so I'm laying there and I'm looking out at the trees and I'm like, those trees are so beautiful out there. I feel like I'm in a tree house. And I started thinking, and I probably didn't come to this conclusion at the time, but looking back, I realized the other side of this is not going to be better because before I was diagnosed, that was not better than here. And so when I embodied that, when I like deep down, I realized and I understood there is not better than here. I was able to just open up to the entire experience because there's good things and bad things, right? I don't like to label them because it's just stuff, but we all know what the things that make us feel good. So there were things that made me feel good and things that made me feel really bad before cancer, during, and after. So does that make sense? If we can just enjoy and be present in the moment of who we are and where we're going, we can be excited about where we're going, but we don't want to skip over even the parts that don't always feel so good. Like that movie Click. Did you ever see that movie?
I did. Oh my gosh, it's been so long.
I don't know, just like Adam Sandler. He's just, oh, this doesn't feel good. I'm going to click ahead. I don't want to feel this.
Yeah.
And so you get to the end of your life and you're like, oh, I don't want to skip over anything. I want the full human experience, all the emotions. And I feel like I've experienced so many of them, whether it's humiliation, despair, depression, and joy and happiness and friendship. I guess that could be a feeling. Friendship, it's that
I
feeling.
think it is. I think you, at least the feeling that comes when we're with friends that I feel like doesn't always have a feeling that goes with it. But yes,
Yeah.
I think friendship is a
Yeah.
feeling.
Comfort. Yeah, like just yeah.
Throughout all of this, you had before cancer, during cancer, after cancer, figuring out and noticing there's not one side, like it's not going to be better per se, it's going to be different. And I think we all experienced that also during COVID. Life changed for so many of us that
Every I drew so many analogies. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
and
that was a huge realization for me.
that like when you were talking, I haven't had a health scare like that. So I was thinking, where was something where my life changed that you were out of control?
Yeah.
And I think COVID was that for a lot of us, if we
Hmm.
haven't had anything else. And some of us came out of it like empowered and excited and creative and all these things, and others didn't. And we wanted the what was before.
Yeah.
So when we're thinking about like our energy, the things that we want to keep doing, and our energy, the things we want to keep doing, and then you bring in the things, oh, we should be doing this, because you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like when you make it through a cancer diagnosis of any sort, you feel like I should be doing this because I was just given another chance. Whatever
Mm.
that, I think shoulds come in when things, especially health related, pop up
Yeah.
of I need to say yes, I should be doing this because why wouldn't I?
Yeah. You nailed my experience with that last sentence because afterwards, it's like a survivor guilt. So afterwards, did not feel great either because I call it after the cancer confetti's all swept away. Yay, you made it. It's, oh yeah, but what now? There have been even, I mean, even recently, sometimes I think that, and I'm like, okay, we're not, we got to make friends with our brains. But it was like, yeah, some people didn't survive. So you should be out there helping more people, doing more things. And I'm like, oh, that's not true. So, yeah, those shoulds come in for so many of us. So, I think just noticing first, you have to notice it, right? Like, you have to notice my brain because sometimes, whether it's coming out of my mouth or coming from my brain, I should be doing this. Just pausing with so much love for yourself and just asking yourself, why do I think I should? Is this just something that is important to me? And how do I want to approach it if it is important to me? Or is this just something that was taught to me and I've adopted that I should be acting a certain way or looking a certain way or being a certain way? Because another good question is, okay, what if there were no rules? Is this
Hmm.
a rule I'm following? That's when I ask myself a lot. Okay, wait a minute. Is this a rule that I'm following that I've picked up somewhere along the way that I don't need to follow anymore? As a business owner, like you get to run your business any way you want. There's no shoulds. Oh, you should do it this way and you should do it that way. I'm like, nope. We're changing all that up too. So just it has to start with noticing when you're saying it or doing it and then start to question it with love, not judgment. Like releasing judgment over ourselves. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you haven't done it this thing yet that you should be doing. Just like stepping back and with love, just saying, okay, all right, why do I think I should? And start there and see where it takes you if you don't resist going deep with those questions.
And I'm going to go a little deeper
Mhm.
because you said business owner. I think of parenting. There are all these shoulds in parenting.
Yeah.
There's all these shoulds of how we should focus on our health. There's shoulds everywhere. That, it's okay, I acknowledge it. I'm questioning it. I'm questioning it with curiosity and not shame. But how do we, and maybe this isn't the right way to word this, but how do we create boundaries, or how do you help clients create boundaries around these shoulds that are going to
Hmm.
come? You have friends that are parents. Oh, you should be getting this. You should do that. You have friends who are business owners. Oh, you should be doing this. You should be doing that.
Yeah.
Or anything on social media. Stop doing this. You should be doing this for your health. Like, how do we create boundaries around that to help not block them, but
Hmm.
to kind of to not let them seep in all the way, to
Mm.
not let us absorb them?
I think so much of this comes back to your self-efficacy, like the trust you have in yourself to figure things out. Because women are taught like to look outside of ourselves for all the answers to everything. And these are explicit but mostly implicit ways that we learn, oh, we don't know what's best for ourselves. So we have to find out from other people. So you have to go back to start trust, like really lean into trusting your own judgment. And then when someone offers you that you should be doing something, then you can pause and be like, Here's a really good question. Like if someone says, "Oh, you should teach your kids this thing, whatever. Kids should have a bedtime of 8 o'clock." If we're talking about little kids, right? And I could be like, okay, what do I think would happen if I didn't follow this quote unquote rule? What am I fearful of? Because it really comes down to that a lot of times is like,
Mm.
especially when kids get into the teen years and parents are like, I have to be more strict or else kids are going to go crazy and then they're going to go rob banks or they're going to not go to college and their lives are ruined. And we project these fears onto our kids for the future instead of just making a decision for ourselves and trusting ourselves that we know best for our own families. It goes to questioning. It's like thinking ahead of time. As your kids get older, things are going to come up. They're going to want to do certain things.
Hmm.
And your first reaction might be no. Or you might be like, why? What's the worst case that could happen? So setting some rules ahead of time is always good. So you know how to respond in the moment and you can talk to them. And I like treating kids like human beings. I think you said that one time too, or somebody said that. I'm like, yeah, just treat them like human beings. Imagine like how your relationship would change with them if you weren't filled with shame. If your kid went out and robbed a bank, you would be so ashamed because that reflects on you. Oh, it does. Like it doesn't have to. That's a rule. That was rambly again.
Mm.
But
You're right. That is a rule. And I think there
yeah.
are so many things that we do or we feel a certain way because, like you said, there's these make believe rules that if we don't do it,
Hmm.
somebody's going to come and who knows what. But
Yeah.
like we have these feelings of that's not right or that's against the grain of what everybody else is doing.
Yeah. And that's a good point. Like somebody is going to judge me. And a lot of times we're like, there's one person in our brain that pops into our mind when we're like, oh, everybody's going to think I'm the worst mom or whatever. But there's one person usually. And usually it's someone who doesn't even matter. Like I did that in business sometimes. I'm like, oh, I'm going to say this thing online that I feel really strongly about it, but people are going to judge me. And whenever I stop and I say, what people, somebody, one or two maybe will pop into my mind and be like, do I even care if that dude judges me? Because it's usually some business dude. And I'm like, I don't care.
And I think that just goes to show that the people in your life that you have chosen to have in your life, they do care about you. And if the judgment is there, they're going to tell you about it. And if they're not, or you think all these things, then like, I don't feel like they deserve a place. If you're
Hmm.
going to sit here worrying about somebody who you're kind of on the edge with, if they're overthinking, like this is happening, that's exhausting.
Yeah.
That's another place. What could you be doing with that, with your brain? You could be
Hmm.
creative. You could do all these things. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and if we want to go deeper on the patriarchy, is the system was set up to where there's really only room for one at the top, right? That way of thinking leans into that, where it's, oh, that person's the authority. And who am I to have the authority to say what I want to say or break the rules and things like that? Deep down, that's where that could be coming from too. Oh, I think there's only one authority on, weightlifting and weight loss. And no, but the flavor of this person that I'm talking to right now appeals to me strongly. Yeah, I love you just like other people's judgments are their own thoughts and their own judgments on themselves, like what they're not allowed to let themselves do. And so it's okay. Like when you realize that, you're like, oh, that person's judging me because they're following rules. And they're probably jealous or envious that we're not following the same rules.
hmm.
And we should be because they haven't given themselves permission to do things differently.
So shoulds, rules, resilience, power. We've talked about all the things that for us to be able to grow and be that person that we want to be, not that we feel like we should be, but that person that we want to be, there's a lot of work that can go into it. And I think the one that I did not learn until I was in business for myself was growth is hard. And if it is not hard or it does not challenge you, you are not growing.
Mm.
And I think some of the things you talked about they're not easy to come up against. They're
Yeah.
not easy things to be like, I'm going to implement this today and I'm going to be successful. No, they
Yeah.
take practice. It's challenging to continue to show up for yourself like that.
Yeah.
And so when we look at growth through challenge, how can we look at challenges as opportunities and not
Hmm.
just an obstacle of,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that just beat me down. Screw it.
Yeah.
I'm back to where I was.
Yeah. Like that saying, failure is the currency to growth. We're taught that failure is bad, but failure is amazing. We learn exactly what not to do, right? We're like, I'm going to try this thing. And if it doesn't work, I'll learn, hey, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to try this way. And the most successful people fail over and over again. But in terms of challenges, failures, and all that, I think of challenges like an invitation because there's challenges we choose and challenges that choose us, like diagnoses or COVID, and challenges that we choose, like starting a business. So reminding yourself along the way, I've invited myself to grow. And you think of like when your kids are growing, they go through growth spurts and they're like, ah, my legs. I don't know if you've experienced
Yes,
that yet with your nanny kids. But like, it's like it can be painful, but we don't have to suffer through it. I would say pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So
Mm.
when you think of the challenges first as an invitation to grow, and we can decide like, this may be painful, but I have the option of not suffering. Our thoughts create the suffering. This shouldn't be happening. I'm doing it wrong. I'm never going to make it. Everybody's judging me. Like you think those are thoughts, they're not truths at all. And that's the story we create around the challenge or the failure. And the energy it creates is really debilitating. Like it doesn't inspire you to go out and try again and try more. And I'm all for having ourselves a little pity party. Like, for sure, feel your feelings. Don't get stuck in that pity party, right? Like, this isn't like Woodstock. It's not going to go on for days and days. That's not helpful. So then that goes back to who do you want to be as you're going through this? I want to be someone who allows herself to step back and have a really good cry and moan a little bit, maybe vent to a friend. I'm all for that. Do that. And then say, okay, now I'm ready. I choose this. I think that's a good reminder. Sometimes I do a lot of marriage coaching and I've had a lot of marriage coaching. And one of the things is reminding myself every day, I'm choosing this. So going back to, yeah, I'm choosing this is always a good thing to remind yourself of.
I like that. And I don't know if anybody else listening has picked up on this, but when you have used the word I, you have used it in an empowering way. I am choosing this. I am choosing to be resilient. I am confident. Like it's not I am sad. Like I ha- it's been yeah, I'm feeling sad. Like
Yeah.
it's a feeling that came before that emotion, whereas anything that you felt confident about and what you wanted was direct and clear. And the power behind that of just waking up in the morning and say, I have chosen this. I am choosing this life. I am
Hmm.
choosing to go to work. I am choosing to enjoy the fresh air and enjoy nature today. Whatever that
Yeah.
looks like. I think there's a ton of power that shows up behind that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that you picked up on that, right? And it's not I am an emotion, I'm feeling an emotion. And coming back to who I am and creating, I like to think of it as your energetic BO. When I walk out into the world, it's not like I'm hiding. If I'm feeling sad, I'm not hiding it, but I'm choosing to show up in the world in a different way. We're often not taught like we can hold a lot of different things at once. More than one thing can be true at once. So you can feel sad or whatever, and empowered at the same time. You really
Mhm.
can. You can go out and be like, I'm going to feel sad, but I'm choosing to show up to the podcast today or whatever it is for you. Yeah.
I think that's 100% true. I've seen posts online, and I think this goes for anybody who, and I'm going to say this, and it probably falls into more categories, but your personal trainer, your group fitness instructor, your therapist, your life coach, they're all dealing with their own shit. And they're trying to notice the emotion they're feeling, but show up for you in the way you need it. And I
Mm,
think there's a handful of professions out there that we see people probably see us as just happy people all the time. And
yeah.
don't get me wrong, that's the case most of the time.
Yeah.
But there's times when I teach a class and you would never know that I slept like crap, that I'm exhausted, and I'm feeling overwhelmed because
Hmm.
it's projected onto those around us. And like you said, it's not that we have to hide it, but
Hmm.
depending on the situation, we've got to show up. We have to continue to show up.
I agree with that. And I will add, it's okay to cancel something, right? Like we're also taught show up no matter what. And we can, if you can get yourself into a place where you're showing up, which we as service providers, heart-centered service providers generally do, it's also okay to not be okay, right? I think people respect that as well. And
Mhm.
I think it's a good example for somebody like you or in my profession where I show the example of, hey, I need a day. This thing happened and I will be back tomorrow. And they're like, oh, it gives them permission not to push through their lives. Like, again, here in America is very much a productivity culture. We're taught like you aren't allowed to slow down. Your worth is only as much as you can produce in the world, and we're not following those rules anymore.
You get to follow whatever rules you want,
Yes.
and they are your rules. And
Yeah.
whatever those look like for you. As we kind of reach the end here, before we move into our last takeaway, which I always love to ask from our guests, how can people get in contact with you? We shared so much today.
I know.
How can people find you? How can people get in contact with you if they want to work with you, if they just have questions, or whatever that looks like?
Yeah. So I am on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I have a YouTube channel, and all of that is at Melanie McNamara Coaching. But you can always reach out with an email. It's Design Your Ideal Life. So it's DYIL with Melanie at Gmail. But if you message me, especially on Facebook, I will get it. I've actually, just a side note, who knows if when this comes out, I'll still have it, but I deleted Facebook off my phone
Mm,
because I realized I was at here, I'll just be an example. I realized I was doing way more scrolling. And I had
yeah.
to step back and say, okay, what are you trying to avoid here? What feeling are you trying to avoid? And I was constantly scrolling, and I'm like, you know what? I'm all for removing obstacles in the way. So I took that app. I still have the Messenger app, but you can always message me on Facebook or get me at email. I'm here. Morgana knows how to get a hold of me too.
And we'll make sure we put all that in the show notes so that you can easily just click on her email and send her an email. And yeah, the whole social media, the for a while I had the time of okay, you have to acknowledge that I need one more minute. It's really easy to just avoid that. And I'm like, I'm just taking it off. And like I started to do, which I'll do a whole nother episode on, is power hours. So like when I have a day where I'm just like go, 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 I
Hmm.
set the timer for an hour, everything goes on do not disturb. When I'm done, I go move my body. It's like my
Yes.
reward. Or I go be on social media or I watch a show. Like I set that timer for intention because if not,
Yeah.
you're like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna scroll. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go do laundry. Like there's so many distractions.
Yes, there are. I love how you call it power hour. I teach my clients a method of like time management, which is really mind management. And you've got it. I call it results hour.
Mm.
Instead, so often I'm like, I'm going to work on this thing. But then I don't, I'm like, what am I doing? Instead of having that intention of by the end of this hour, I'll have put out that email to my membership or whatever.
And yeah, we all have our own systems for it. And honestly, it's
Uh-huh.
about listening and learning from other people and trying things on, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and also giving it the good college try. And don't try it once and that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You got to show up, you got to try it a few times, try it on and be like, okay, that really is uncomfortable. And I don't like that. Don't ever just try on the thing at the Target dressing room and say, this is what you're wearing to a wedding and not try it on beforehand. Target dressing room mirrors are terrible. You got to bring it home. You got to try it on again. You got to walk around in it. Do you
Sit
feel
in it.
comfortable? Yes, fit. Does it actually zip? Like, yes. Melanie, it's been amazing having you on. I know, like I said, we talked about a lot today. What would be either a last minute tip, action item, or something you want to leave the listeners with to be like, if this is the only thing I took away from today, this is what I want them to blank.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking one thing was hard for me, but one
You can
thing,
do two.
okay, it's questioning. So whenever we notice that we're feeling overwhelmed or upset about whatever it is, think about the circumstance. And the question I always ask myself is, okay, what am I making this mean? So often like I said, we mistake our story for the facts. So it's okay, this is the fact. I'm just gonna say the number on the scale is this, and I'm feeling whatever. What am I making this mean? And then you can go deeper with that question, with the questions, with understanding yourself. It doesn't mean you have to change anything. I think sometimes just awareness is like suddenly you're like, oh, I get it now. Other times it takes practice changing those thoughts. But that's one of my favorite questions is what am I making this mean? And how could this be for me? Right? What else is true? What else is true? I slipped in a third one.
I love it. I think those are great questions. And those are ones that, like, when I hear good questions like that, I may not use it on a regular basis, but I like to write them down and keep them somewhere. Because
Hmm.
depending on where you're at in life, that question may like, that's not where I'm at today. You may have to
Yeah.
read the second or the third to be like, okay, that is what I needed.
Yeah. I agree.
Awesome. Melanie, thank you so much again for being on. And I know October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing the before, the during, the after, and how you are helping women change their lives day in and day out. And for those of you who are listening, if you are a woman, please have your breast cancer screening done, number one. And
Hmm.
two, if you enjoyed this episode, whether it was for you or you thought of a friend, your mom, your sister, whoever it was, if you thought of someone, open up your phone right now, click that share button, and send it to them because that's the biggest way that you can thank both of us as we are here giving you content, helping educate you, and helping you try to take your life to that level that you want it to be. And with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you back here next week. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Empower Her Wellness podcast. I hope you found today's episode inspiring and packed with actionable tips. Remember, your journey to becoming the strongest, most confident version of yourself is just beginning. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and join our community of empowered women. Until next time, stay strong and stay confident.